The man is here at last, McClaine. He may as well be known as the Jessica simp, and there were quite a bit of people that wanted him to be playable, and now we finally have him. And it's been a while since we got a character whose main gimmick is very similar to Thxs, slowing down their opponents, but that's not all he can do. Now this isn't my McClaine. I don't really plan on pulling for him, and I don't think I ever will. But what we're seeing here is the character preview you can look at in their banners. And since I don't have him, that means we won't be going over his awakening stages, unfortunately. And luckily, I actually have a buddy of mine that helped make this video possible, so big thanks to him. So in case you guys don't know what he's all about, whenever he's in water, his attack and defense will increase, and his AoE skills will apply the string special tile effect for 2 turns. And it's only at 6 stars that it lasts for 2 turns. At 3, 4, and 5 stars, it's actually 1 turn, which is kinda unfortunate. When he and the enemy are on the stream special terrain tile, it is considered to be in water. So that means anyone that's not a flyer or an aquatic class, they will consume 1 additional mobility. And the thing that's most interesting about this thing is that it can affect Terrain Master as well. And I can't take a look at the Mastery Stone since I don't have them, but essentially you want HP, attack, defense on his armor, HP, attack, magic defense for his armor, or instead of magic defense, you can go with defense if you want to maximize it because it is his strongest attribute, his defense. Now you don't really have to since that'll mean he'll be very vulnerable to magic attacks. And plus his defense can already go pretty high, especially with him being an aquatic character. Then for the weapon and accessory, HP, attack, and skill. As for his arena stats, HP, attack, defense or magic defense, then you can do crit rate and crit damage down. As for soldier choices, for PvP, there's the Pirate Raider. They're pretty good since they can reduce the damage taken and is able to steal a buff from the enemy if you attack them in water. Glacial Elemental is another one you can do since these guys might be more better offensive wise, since you can apply a debuff and then their attack multiplier might actually be higher than the Pirate Raider actually. I would say it really just depends on the situation you find yourself in and whatever you prefer. For the weapon you want on him, Ragnarok or the Bone Smasher, this one disables armor effects, so if the enemy has something like the Death's Robe or anything like that, then it'll be ineffective. If you don't have any of those two, then I would say the Broken Star since it does give some extra defense. But other than that, any attack increase will be good enough on him. For his armor, Last Rites most definitely, but if you don't have those, then Berserk Legend would be your second option. As for the helmet, it is kinda hard to decide since there's so many options that you can choose from. Like the Doomsday, since it has a chance to prevent one enemy within 2 blocks to be unable to heal. There's also the Demon Dragon's Gaze. I remember talking about how this one was pretty okay, like not the best around. But considering there's Epsilon and Lostam to worry about, I can see this one being used on some characters. If you don't know what it does, I think it increases your defense by 15% when you're being targeted by a ranged attack. There's also the King's Crown and the Feather Crown you can use as well. Lots of options you can choose from. It can be hard to decide, but if you want to know the best one to use, in my opinion, I would say the Doomsday since it can really mess up your opponent. You also can't really go wrong with something that really helps boost his defense, cause he does want to be super tanky. For the accessory, the Winged Shin Guard, this one will boost his defense by 10% when he's being attacked. Or the Apex Boots because the one real issue about McClaine is his mobility. For the chance you want on him, Full Moon since it will increase his stats by 10% as long as his HP is above 80%. Or you can do Breeze because of how lackluster his mobility is. Then lastly, his 3C. It has a passive that lets him revive for half of his HP if he's in water. Now this skill has 2 parts. First is an AoE that can be used on himself, any of the water, depth, swamp, or even on his own special terrain, which has a 1 ring range, then it will change into a swirling whirlpool. This part of the skill will ignore guard, and if the enemy is in water, then his crit chance is increased by 20%. After battle, he does fixed damage to other enemies that are in water, then it will change back into his AoE skill. By the way, this 3C has no cooldown, so you can actually spam this all you want. And I'm guessing it's made that way because his tiles don't actually really last that long. Even with him being at 6 stars, 2 turns still feels pretty short. And his other 2 unique skills that makes his special terrain has a long cooldown as well. But this also means that you are forced into using his second part of the 3C if you want to be more consistent with keeping up his tiles. Plus, a lot of his benefits come from him being in water, and you especially want him to always stay in water so that he has that revive effect. And if you're interested, this is what his skill animation will look like. And I'm gonna repeat myself right here. There will be no awakening stage in this video. And if you haven't noticed, it is titled Thxs Showcase rather than Thxs Unlocking and Showcase. And that's because, like I said before, I don't have McClaine, so I can't really do all those stuff. The least I can do is make a showcase for the characters I don't have and aren't really planning on pulling for. But I did mention that I do have a buddy in mind. He actually helped me with this so that I can make this video possible, so massive thanks to him. I want you guys to take a look at this. Look at that. Basically 1600 attack right there and 1200 defense. Unfortunately, his magic defense is quite low, but that's how he is. And with the faction buff, I think right here, yeah, 1800 and 1350. That is insane. Now, unfortunately, even with that kind of attack, his AoE's multiplier isn't really high. So yeah, right here is 0.3 times on his 2C, and then if I can find it, yeah, 0.1 times of his own attack. Okay, so there it goes. This is what the towels would look like. It looks really nice. I really like how that looks. And you can see the icon right here too. So you can obviously tell that Blossom will have a hard time moving around, and so will Lolly Jessica. And the strange part about this, and I'm pretty sure I said this earlier, but his towels can affect terrain masters. So someone like Sherry, if they're in this towel, their mobility will be affected by this. Now unfortunately, he will get easily one-shotted by magic. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh my god, 1600 defense. And it was able to go that high because I'm pretty sure he has the Winged Shin Guard and the Dragon's Gaze on it. So that went up quite a bit. But yeah, if it was Lucretia attacking McClaine, then yeah, McClaine would easily be one-shotted. Unless you somehow have that high amount of magic defense on him. And not only that, he's pretty decent at attacking. So yeah, that was his 3C right there. Last time was hurt right there, but I am interested to see like if he can bypass one-shotting like someone like Lucretia with Hilda right next to her. Oh, here goes Lucretia. I think she's gonna attack him right here. Oh yeah, she is. Okay. So this might be a one-shot considering how low McClaine's magic defense is. Oh wow. McClaine be living, holy. Yeah, so she was using firebrand snipers right there. So yeah, if she had something like sorceress, then McClaine would have definitely died right there. But that just goes to prove of how tanky McClaine really is. But if you can somehow really balance out McClaine's HP, attack, defense, and magic defense, then this guy would definitely be hard to kill. He's a great counter against Rushbox as well, but it is quite easy to notice what his strengths and weaknesses are. He has great attack power and strong defensive capability, especially if you are able to get his magic defense up there. He's able to slow down the enemies, obviously, and has a pretty good ignore guard skill as a 3C, especially since you can basically spam it, and if he's in water, he gets to play at his best performance. But that's also one of his biggest issues. You want to rely on his terrain or play on a map with water for him to have that talent boost and to be able to have his revive. And remember that it's part of his 3C passive as well. And the thing about his terrain effects is that he wants to be at 6 stars so that it lasts 1 turn longer. So that's 2 turns by the way. And his other 2 unique skills that makes that terrain have a pretty high cooldown as well. His 2C has a total of 5 turn cooldown, but it can be reduced by 3 if it hits 3 more enemies, which is pretty nice. But you want to be able to spam his 3C so you can almost always be able to keep putting out his terrains, which kind of feels forced because of how slow he already is. McClaine feels more like a tank and a disruptor rather than an aggressive one, but it really works out. Overall though, he's pretty good despite having those weaknesses. You were probably expecting me to say that he's terrible after all that, but that's not entirely true. Plus, he doesn't really need to rely on specific maps, so no need to even worry about that. With the current meta the way it is now, especially up to CN, he's actually really useful, even for such a slow character. And that was McClaine's 3C showcase. He's pretty hard to use, can be pretty confusing how he works and all that, but after a while, definitely not PvE friendly. Unless you want him for collection, then by all means, go for it. He's not really worth it unless you're really into PvP, so I would recommend saving for Jintoki, who will be coming very soon. But that's all I have for you guys. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more, and feel free to let me know down in the comments how you guys feel about McClaine. I'm definitely glad that we have a character like him who can counter Rushbox quite effectively. I can see him being banned early for that kind of reason and for certain maps as well. But yeah, thanks for watching. Your fellow Z.